Ali told me a story, and he was kept in prison 5 years. I remember when he made this presentation and had some pictures, and one of the things he told me that really made a huge impression in my mind was the mental trouble being kept in Manus Island, and that it was all white, and it was warm, it was wet, and it was like a nightmare. It's like when in the movies they want to show you a nightmare. I figured it would be very much like this refugee camp where the Australian authorities kept Ali. From what I learned, Australian governments are doing that to small children as well, and it's horrible. It needs to be stopped. You can't prison children, and you can't treat people, whether they are children or adult, in such manners.
Is it legal? How can they keep children away from society like that?
I think Australia, as the kind of society that it is, used to be very welcoming to everybody who came.
When I first heard your story, it was of course shocking to hear, but
it's horrible. It's a crime against humanity. It's a crime against this Australian people, because I am sure not all the Australian people accept what the government there is doing.
And I think especially with the children, that you can keep children in detention camps. I think that's maybe the worst. It's almost impossible to imagine what people are going through in these detention camps or these refugee camps.
As a Norwegian, we don't know much about Australia and the whole area, so everything we have learned from Ali, of his story, of the detention and imprisonment, it's like very new for us.
And your story, Ali, just first and foremost, it made me sad. It makes me frustrated, angry, and a little bit shocked.
And I think it's terrible. Children should not be put in prison anywhere.
I have no words. It should be stopped immediately. Ali's story from the Manus Island is a heartbreaking testimony about the cruelty and inhumanity, I think. It's a shame, really.
When I first heard about these detention camps, I was really shocked. I had found it actually so shocking that I found it hard to believe. And then when I started working with your situation and to try to see if it was possible to get you off the island, I had to go deeper into it and I had to see a bit more. And I still find it absolutely shocking that we do this in 2018. I find it absolutely medieval.
I was really devastated to hear your story. Australia treating immigrants like this, they haven't done any crime, they're not criminals, and they're imprisoned in the same way like criminals are.
Children never choose migration, and I think that you had a good enough welcome here. We really need you to voice the people who are voiceless.
I think it's terrible to learn that some people have no life whatsoever. They just stay in detention camps all their lives. They might be born there. And I think it's important for us to think about what precedents we want to put for how the world will treat its citizens.
It seems like Australians have forgotten their history. Yes, after the Aborigines, the first establishments in Australia were prisoners. Are you taking a U-turn and going back to make Australia a prison?
And but I didn't know that it was that horrible. I had no idea, and I think it's kind of unbelievable that a rich country like Australia actually treats immigrants and refugees in that way. It's
so difficult to think about that this is happening today, and it's still happening.
And that's part of the white Australia policy, I guess. This is a question all over the world. What do we do with people who want to escape from horrible situations in the home country and to live a decent life in new countries.
It's really sad. They're taking control over people's lives, and it's like they're not human at all, the people being held there. The world needs to know what's happening.
It's hard to imagine that a country like that, with its own history, can do things like that to refugees.
But if Australia has ratified the Children's Convention, Barnekonvensjonen, from the United Nations, then that which says that the best of the children is always the most important, it goes over every other law, then it should be not possible to have children staying in jail and to treat them in an inhuman way.
A terrible situation. It's a violation of human rights. Australia used to be known as a country where human rights were respected, and there's no other way to say it. It should be stopped.
Kids growing up in those camps, the Australian government should check out what's going on in other parts of the world, how they treat refugees. Not everyone treats them good, but the Australian way is quite terrible.
It's terrible that children should live like that. I don't think it's allowed in any country that children should have these conditions.